Hello and welcome to Sincerely Elvis Presley. I'm Sean. Whether you're new to the channel or a regular viewer, thanks for tuning in today. I appreciate it. This time I'd like us to take a trip back to September the 26th, 1956, and Elvis's monumental performance at the Tupelo Fairgrounds for the Mississippi-Alabama State Fair and Dairy Show. And I say monumental because this was the homecoming hero. This was the young man who was born in Tupelo, had been raised in Tupelo, and had left Tupelo 8 years prior to this show in September 56. And you know, what a sea change had taken place since the Presley family left Tupelo for the bright lights of Memphis. And you know, in 56, when Colonel Parker arranges a contract for Elvis to appear back in his hometown, Elvis had been on national television multiple times. He'd been on the Dorsey Brothers Say Show. By this stage, he'd been on the Milton Berle Show and that cataclysmic performance of Hound Dog that shocked the nation, eventually the world. He'd also been on the Steve Allen Show, where they tried to tame him, put him in a tuxedo, had him singing to a basset hound, and you know, you can't sort of put into words what it must be for this small town in Mississippi that you know, this guy had been born and raised in, seeing him come back to play to them for two performances in the afternoon and the evening. You know, it's I think anyone that's been there and seen those fairgrounds, and you can't imagine. I think there was 8,000 in the crowd. There was they made a big event of it. There was a parade through the streets during the day, and then there was a presentation with Elvis getting the key to the town and whatever. It was it must have been such an incredible event. And what I'd like to do is go through a couple of little bits and pieces I have in my collection that enable you to delve a little bit deeper and experience what it must have been like. So I want to start with what I believe is probably the best way to just listen to those shows, and this is the Memphis Recording Service in its infancy. So this, I think, was probably their, I want to say, fourth release. So it's very early on, and in those days, the MRS CDs were somewhat bigger than they've become in recent years. And I'm presuming, I don't think, from what I can tell, that they've yet re-released this. So they have gone back to most of their early back catalogue, and they've been putting them out on their Camden label, their budget price label. But I don't think the Tupelo show is available yet, but I imagine it's probably coming in the near future. So what do we get here? Elvis was born into poverty on January the 8th, 1935, in a two-room shack in the little town of East Tupelo, Mississippi. In 1948, at the age of 13, the Presley family left Tupelo in rags and moved to Memphis in Tennessee in search of employment and a better life. 8 years later, in 1956, Elvis had suddenly become the hottest entertainer in America. On September the 26th, 1956, he returned to his birth town as a king, and it was to be his homecoming. The CD contains the two concerts performed that day at the Mississippi-Alabama Fair and Dairy Show, plus rare interviews with Elvis and his parents. This set also contains a 40-page book with historical facts and lots of rare photographs. So that's what you get. It is becoming harder to get hold of, this one now. So, you know, it's to be hoped really that they do put it out on their budget label so everyone can get a chance to access it more easily. But yeah, in these days you've got kind of more substantial housing, so I think it's rather clever how the CD recess sort of sits back, and then in your CD kind of drops over it and fits in quite nicely. So let's have a look. There's there's your track listing for both shows. So you've got, it starts with the WTUP interviews Elvis Presley, and then it finishes with that particular disc finishes with WTUP interviews Elvis's parents Vernon and Gladys, and then you get the show, which is the afternoon show, and then you get the evening show, and that finishes with WELO interviews Elvis Presley on the 27th September 1957. So there's your track listing. Now, the sound quality is not bad for what this is, a historical document, if you like, a historical recording. You're not going to put it on and expect pristine clarity and pristine separation, and because that's not what this is. But as a historical sort of touchstone for, you know, a monumental performance, it does the job quite nicely. So what do we get in the little booklet? Inevitably, we're going to start with a bit of background of Tupelo and Elvis in the town where he was born. Bit of background. And then we get a picture of the parade, the ticket for the one of the tickets for the show. That was the, I don't know if it says it's evening performance that was for. Shots of Elvis when he arrived. Now, there was some debate about the velvet shirts. I believe he wore a dark blue one, and I think the evening performance was the dark red one. And they were these sort of billowing out velvet affairs. The sleeves sort of billow out. They've got like buttons that start about here and come up. And you see Elvis also in some famous publicity shots around the Love Me Tender time, wearing a very, very similar shirt, if not the same shirt. But I think there was a lot of sort of, where did these come from? I think they were allegedly at the time gifted to him by Natalie Wood, who had them made for him. But I think some doubt's been cast upon that in recent years. In fact, if anyone in the UK especially, we have a comedian, Frank Skinner, who paid a fortune for what purported to be the blue shirt. And there was a documentary made of it at the time, which I think you can still get on YouTube, and it's worth a watch, because it always struck me that the money that he gave, I think it came from Memphis Mafia member Dave Hebler, if I remember, was the one that had sold it and authenticated it and claimed that Elvis had given it to him. But when you see the shirt that was purchased, you only have to see a few photographs from the shows to know that it wasn't the right shirt, because I think it had buttons going all the way down the front. Whereas when you see this shirt, it clearly only has them, you know, sort of around about here, I'd say, going upwards. So it was a shirt that he must have had to pull over his head, and then do those buttons up from there. So, you know, it was clear, really, that shirt that the British comedian Frank Skinner bought was a fake. But, you know, we all live and learn, don't we? An expensive mistake. But he did get to sing with the Jordanaires in that documentary, and wore that shirt as he was doing it. So you know, every cloud and all that. So yeah, there's the MRS release, and quite in a timely fashion. As I'm coming to the last page here, what I'm seeing is an advert for what came out the same year, but up the ante somewhat, also by MRS. So they see the advert for what they call Tupelo's own Elvis Presley. And that's what we're going to get on to next, because not only do you get to hear the concert, or concerts, not in full for both of them, but you also get to see them. So your audio record, I think that's fantastic. Tupelo welcomes Elvis Presley home is the actual title of it. Fantastic. So as I say, MRS, I hope you're bringing this out on your budget label too, so that everyone can get a chance to have a copy of that one. So let's move on then to Tupelo's own Elvis Presley. Now this was also 2007, I believe. It was indeed. And this gave us something that, you know, this was quite a mind-blowing release at the time. I have to say, this is still pretty much accessible. You can still pick this up. You can actually still see quite a few copies changing hands sealed, and it's only going to set you back, I would say, probably starting in the high 20s, probably up to the 50 odd pounds mark. So it's not a fortune, it's not crazy, and for what you're getting. So here's the selling point, and this is what in 2007 fans were presented with. Limited edition. Never before have we seen an Elvis concert from the 50s with sound until now. So what does this give us? Well, contains unreleased film of Elvis's performing 6 songs, including Heartbreak Hotel and Don't Be Cruel, live in Tupelo, Mississippi, 1956. Further unseen footage from backstage, evening show, and much more. Plus interviews with Elvis at the 1957 Tupelo show, never before heard, and footage from... Oh, that's right, because he played there the following year. That's why when I was reading that out on the first one, and I said... WLEO interviews Elvis Presley 27th of September 1957. You know, sometimes, and I think I've said this before, I sit here and I pull these things out, and I do a little bit of research just to try and have a stab at approaching knowing what I'm talking about, and sometimes things just go blank. So yes, there it is. I've just remembered 57. He played there again, so that's why that's got that on the end. I've cleared that up. Right, and you'll also notice sometimes that if I fail to catch it, and then when I'm editing it, that's why the little corrections go along the bottom of the screen, because I think, what have I said now? It happens a lot. Okay, so interview with Elvis at the 1957 Tupelo show, never before heard, with footage from the show. The DVD audio section contains 21 tracks of the 2 concerts from Tupelo 1956. So they're giving you what you get on the CD, but you've got it on DVD audio, which is fine. But, you know, that I almost think they can't sort of say, well, we won't re-release the CD because we then put it on DVD audio, because that's not the same. Yeah. And special bonus, a 200-page detailed book with hundreds of unpublished photographs, rare material and artefacts from the Tupelo events. So, you know, this really was a landmark release at the time. An absolute landmark release. So it says, contains recently discovered unreleased footage from Elvis performing 6 tracks, including Heartbreak Hotel and Don't Be Cruel, live on the afternoon show at the Mississippi Alabama Fair and Dairy Show in Tupelo, Mississippi. Then it says unreleased colour footage of the evening performance and never before seen film of the street parades and so much more. There are interviews from the show, including with Elvis and his parents. Also included rare concert footage from Tupelo 1957 with Elvis performing his gold lame jacket. This footage contains an unreleased audio interview with Elvis Presley, never before heard. So, you know, 33 minutes, 14 seconds. Now, I appreciate if you search YouTube now, you'll find that footage. It's out there. But, you know, there's plenty of things that are out there that you can just watch. But we're collectors, right? So we want the package. Well, that's the way I see it. So let's have a look inside. Elvis in the crowds, and we open up here and you get your DVD sitting on this little recess there, and then inside we have our book. So, you know, worth the price of entry, you know, for the DVD alone. In fact, I think they may well have released the DVD on its own without the book. I think I might be right in saying that. But you get this lovely, lovely little book. There's the 57's performance. And it is really nicely done. You know, it's not just an accompanying booklet by any means. This is a book in its own right. Just fantastic. So, as you'd expect, a bit of history, as we got with the booklet on the CD, of Elvis and his hometown, his youthful years, Get shots of the parade. Tupelo welcomes Elvis Presley home. This is quite interesting. This is the impersonator float. So the Elvis impersonator float. It says it won first prize. So they obviously had a competition which floats were the best. And we go, so you see, Elvis impersonators are nothing new. We're going on since 1956. There just wasn't as many of them about then. Then we get some articles and what have you, adverts at the time. Elvis arriving. Looking cool as you would like. Now that's interesting. So 49th exposition, that tends to suggest to me then that had been going for some time. The Mississippi Alabama Fair and Dairy Show. But yeah, I just think, you know, you've got your little itineraries of things here, and you've got Farmer's Day, music festival featuring the Blackwood Brothers. Interesting. Statesman Quartet. New 1956 automobile given away free. So that's interesting, isn't it? On the Thursday, the September the 27th, the day after Elvis performed, you get the Blackwood Brothers and the Statesman Quartet, two gospel quartets that he was heavily influenced by. But yeah, if you see the itinerary on the actual day he performed, you get Children's Day, all school children and teachers admitting free in the parade. Gigantic parade, Elvis Presley's homecoming celebration, State Junior Dairy Show, Girls 4-H demonstrations, Olsen shows presented by the Amusement Corporation of America, world's largest railroad carnival. Open and Junior Poultry Show, judging is in the Poultry Building, so you get, you know, this guy that's exploded all over America and has been on national television, released his first album, you know, having huge success. And just before he's coming on, you get the judging of the Poultry Show. Brilliant. And then Elvis Presley in person, both afternoon and evening performances. Greatest musical event in the history of our fair, in front of grandstands. So yeah, it really puts it into perspective. It's like kind of a village fete with this huge star appearing. What a coup that was for them. But yeah, brilliant stuff. Brilliant stuff. I love stuff like that. The state of Mississippi takes pride in welcoming home on the occasion of the Mississippi Alabama Fair, America's #1 entertainer in the field of popular music, its own native son, Elvis Presley, this the 26th day of September 1956. Fabulous stuff, absolutely fabulous stuff. And then we get lots of shots of the afternoon performance. Elvis driving the crowds wild. You see, this is very much the Elvis, as you know, around this time he was already well into filming, if he hadn't already completed filming of Love Me Tender. So it's very like the Elvis that appears on those stages in the full musical numbers in Love Me Tender, obviously not wearing the same clothes. But it's still the Elvis that has not completely fair hair, but he hasn't dyed it black yet. And I think the extra darkness on it is produced by the product in it. But his hair is not black yet. That would only happen for Loving You. But yeah, great shots, great action shots. And there really was so much captured, wasn't there, you know, for posterity, really. It's yeah, fantastic. Then we get some backstage pictures. People sort of visited and hanging out with Elvis's old school chum Bitsy, whose father, Ike Savory, was the fair president. Just fantastic. What a fantastic record. So yeah, I mean, top quality to, for a package to give you the DVD audio and the book as well. Top notch. And as I say, can still be picked up, and it doesn't need to cost you a fortune. And to own a record of this event, I'd say you can't go wrong. So there's a little look at the MRS, Tupelo's own Elvis Presley. What do we finish with? Yeah, we finish with the 57 performance. And the gold lame jacket, but not the trousers that he didn't like. So I just want to wrap up really with the book that ups the ante a little bit on that. And this is from Eric Lawrenson. And this is Elvis at the Mississippi, Alabama Fair and Dairy Show, September the 26th, 1956. This is a glorious book. Glorious book. What a fantastic shot that is. So this is getting a little harder to find these days. It is getting a little bit harder to get hold of, but well worth picking up if you're able to, I'd say. So I think this was released for an anniversary, if I remember rightly. I'm pretty sure it's for the, there we go, special 60th anniversary edition commemorating Elvis's homecoming to Tupelo, September 26, 1956. So published in 2016 this was. Just let me, a little bit there from the commercial appeal Tupelo. It says contracts were signed here Tuesday for a one-day appearance of Elvis Presley of Tupelo and Memphis for a $5,000 guarantee plus 60% of the gate receipts. Colonel working it as ever. James M. Savory, president of the Mississippi Alabama Fair and Dairy Show, said Presley would appear during the fair September the 26th. Mr. Savory termed the agreement one of the most expensive ever undertaken by the Fair Association. The grandstands will seat about 8,000 persons. Mr. Savory said Presley's one-day appearance could mean about $12,000 to $15,000 for one day. 2 performances will be scheduled. However, if the crowds warrant, other showings will be conducted. Not sure, I think that's a typo. Anyway, let's have a little look through. So, as you'd expect, we're going to get Elvis in Tupelo at the beginning because, if you're doing about his homecoming, you're going to talk about his being raised in Tupelo. So, you'd expect that. But we don't get too much of it. Then we get... oh no. That was just an introduction. We do get more of it. So, the complete life story of Elvis Presley, the Tupelo years. So, we're getting lots of photographs, as you'd expect, of the Tupelo years. Shake Rag Tupelo, Mississippi, young Elvis. And then, fair promotion begins Wednesday. 5 new autos to be given, 1 each night. Some really cool shots of Elvis. I don't know, is that at Audubon Drive? I'm not entirely sure. Nevertheless, so there's the cars that they gave away to the lucky winners. Very nice. So yeah, we've got Elvis in Hollywood. Starting to make Love Me Tender. That's what I mean. There's those shots around the time of Love Me Tender, and I'm sure that's the same shirt. It's got to be, hasn't it? I mean, how many could he have had that looked exactly the same? Or has that? No, I was going to say, has that got something on the collar, but I think that's just the reflection. So, and of course, this is where the iconic cover of Rock and Roll #2 came from for the UK. So then we get Elvis playing in Is this on the Sullivan Show? Yeah, Sullivan Show. So we're getting a bit of backstory. So, and this is sometimes one of the issues I do have with Lawrenson's books. The focus can sometimes be a bit broad. You're supposed to be getting, you think you're getting a book that's just about Tupelo 56 and we're in Hollywood now. And there you go, there's the red version of that shirt. I'm sure that's the same shirt. So yeah, we're getting a lot of filler. Now we're in Memphis, and we're 100 and actually 110 pages in before we get to what this book's supposed to be about. So yeah, I'm a little bit, sometimes I think, you know, how much filler do you need? But this is what we're here for. This is what we paid our money for. And I've got to say, in terms of the pictures this gives you, crowds and background and all sorts, this is the gold star. This has got lots and lots of fantastic stuff. Newspaper articles, all sorts of bits and pieces. So if you just want one book that's on the Tupelo homecoming shows in '56, this is the kiddie. I know I just moaned a bit about the excess blurb at the beginning, but you know, let's forgive them that, because what you get on the just the amount of photographs they've unearthed from that one day is just fantastic. I saw all sorts of manner of shots in here I'd never seen before. Obviously some of them are familiar, but really, really great stuff. But the trouble is, you can't, if you're going to have a document of those two shows, you can't just have this book, because you know, you really need the MRS one. So you've got the DVD. You can watch it as well. You can watch it as you're looking through this book. Because there's no doubt this book is way superior to the one that comes with the MRS DVD. But if I'm right, and that was released just as a DVD, which I think it was, then you could get that and this. And then I think you've got the ultimate document. Because this does what that little book just can't do, because of its huge format. So this is a fantastic book, don't get me wrong. Could have done probably without quite as much padding at the beginning. I know it's important to sort of say how Elvis got to where he got to become the homecoming hero. But yeah, where are we now then? I don't know if this is him leaving. Could well be him leaving. Yeah, I think he's got the shirt on underneath the jacket. Just some fantastic photographs. Look at them. Just amazing stuff. So yeah, I would heartily recommend this book to anybody, and especially to fans of early Elvis. This is a great document and well worth picking up. As I say, it is getting harder to get your hands on, but it does turn up from time to time, and it's one of those Lawrenson titles that you know, just focuses on a specific thing. All right, so there's a bit of padding at the beginning, but you know, it's yeah, it's really nice. Highly recommended. So yeah, fantastic book. And there we go, Elvis 56. What a fabulous, fabulous event that must have been. Can you imagine the memories of seeing him there? Right then, that's it for today. Thank you very much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed that. As ever, if you could like, share, comment, subscribe and do all that, it'd be much appreciated. So thank you for watching. I can't say it enough. I really appreciate you taking the time to spend some time with me. So until next time, take care. Ta-da.
We'll meet you again. May God bless you. Adios.